What would it take to bring undefeated Ball State to the Humanitarian Bowl? Those conversations are ongoing.
Today's Channel 6 News, live at 10, starts now. You're watching today's Channel 6 News, live at 10. 10 minutes of non-stop news starts now.
VSU versus BSU. The fans want to see it, but can organizers make it happen? We're going straight to the big story live at 10. It's a matchup that has college football fans drooling. The possibility of two undefeated teams going at it on the blue. An important call was made today to talk about that possibility. Sports Director Joe Hughes joins us now with the latest on tonight's big story.
That's right, Don. The athletic directors of the WAC teams that don't have bowl-eligible football teams met today to converse about all of the WAC bowl games, including that potential matchup between undefeated teams. WAC Commissioner Carl Benson told me tonight that no decisions have been made. The Ball State, Boise State, and the Humanitarian Bowl talks continue, and part of the talk is waiting to see if Ball State remains undefeated after Friday night's MAC championship game. If the Humanitarian Bowl could land Ball State in its game, then Boise State would likely play in the Humanitarian Bowl and have the matchup of undefeated teams. Seems the big question is whether Ball State would choose to play Boise State on its home turf. H-Bowl Executive Director Kevin McDonald said those talks are continuing even now.
We're continuing to have discussions with the MAC, with Ball State. We're just trying to really kind of, if you will, push the ball down the field to try to make this game happen.
Possibly that toughest task is of making all this happening is convincing Ball State to play its bowl game on Boise State's home turf, where the Broncos have a decided advantage and a nearly perfect record over the years. Of course, the other game would be the Poinsettia Bowl, where Boise State would play TCU. Another nice matchup, but I think this one of undefeated teams would have maybe a little more national appeal.
I think so, and we would go to Indiana and play Ball State, right? Someday.
Maybe.
Maybe.
That might be part of sweetening the pot, yeah.
I can see that card game right now.
Yeah, that's what's going on.
All right, we'll see you in a couple of minutes, Joe. Our web poll showed the majority of our viewers supported the Broncos heading out of town for their bowl game, but things have changed with Ball State in the mix. 60% of you now say you'd like to see the Broncos play in the H-Bowl if they were playing Ball State. You can still vote by going to our website, KIVITV.com. There's one thing Bronco fans can agree on. They want to see Boise State finish their undefeated season by winning a bowl game. The question remains, though, which bowl game would the Broncos be playing in?
Bronco fans were filing in and out of the Blue and Orange store gearing up for bowl season. While it's still up in the air where the Broncos will be playing, these Bronco fans are looking south.
I'd love to see them play TCU and the Poinsettia Bowl.
San Diego would be cool.
I would love for us to go to the Poinsettia Bowl in San Diego. I think that would be awesome.
Bronco backers want their team to travel and face the best opponent possible. But now there is a chance that opponent could be an undefeated Ball State team who might be willing to come to Boise and take on the Broncos.
Obviously, the pros for that game, Boise gets to stay home, help the local economy. The Rhodey's Humanitarian Bowl gets a big boost, and I think that game will be hyped by ESPN as, a battle of the unbeaten.
While ESPN might be drooling over a Ball State-Boise State matchup in the H-Bowl, fans here in Idaho aren't biting.
Definitely be my second choice.
Give us a little bit more recognition. That's really about it.
If we stay here and beat Ball State can claim that it was a home field advantage, and that would be unfortunate for BSU fans.
Whether the Broncos stay home or play in San Diego, either way, it's a consolation prize to what these fans really want.
We'd love to see you go to BCS.
I'd like them to be able to go to the BCS Bowl.
If it's up to me, we'd be going to the Sugar Bowl or the Orange Bowl or the Fiesta Bowl.
There you go. Again, we'll know much more Friday night after Ball State plays in their conference championship game.
And now Joe Hughes with today's Channel 6 Sports.
We're in the wait-and-see mode with where the Boise State football team will be going bowling this season. Rhodey's Humanitarian or Poinsettia Bowl. No official invites will be available to go out to undefeated Boise State or Ball State because both teams are still being held by the BCS since both are eligible at-large BCS teams. They won't be released until Sunday night. However, a matchup between two undefeated teams has some national steam, and H-Bowl Executive Director Kevin McDonald says it would be one of the best ever.
I think to have, number 9 versus number 12 played here. David Letterman has already said he's coming to wherever Ball State plays. it'll be fun to create a little extra buzz. But yeah, I think that ESPN loves it. I think the national media will love it. I think the football fans around the country will want to watch the game. So I think it's easy to say that this would be the biggest Rhodey Humanitarian Bowl ever.
All bets are off, however, if Ball State were to lose Friday night in the MAC championship game.
One of BSU's biggest rivals could help decide BSU's bowl fate.
So for that and more, here is CBSU Sports Director Jay Bates.
WAC Commissioner Carl Benson and representatives from the 3 non-bowl eligible schools had a conference call today to go over bowl scenarios for the teams eligible to play in the postseason. That's right, Bronco fans, the Vandals get to decide where you are going. But this is all very preliminary because today the BCS announced that the teams that they would release from consideration for the big money games. They did not release the Broncos, meaning yes, there is still a chance that they could make the BCS, as could TCU and Ball State. I checked in with Carl Benson today, and he says with the BCS keeping Boise State in the mix after an announcement, well, it won't be made until Sunday night at the earliest after the BCS pairings come out. But by that time, the WAC will have all their agreements in place, and they will be ready to roll and place schools that night. Looking around the web to see where some of the sports sites think the Broncos might go, well, ESPN's analysts both think that they're going to the Humanitarian Bowl. One thinks it'll be Wake Forest. One thinks it'll be Maryland. Sporting News did not include BSU in their BCS. Instead, they think that it will be Ohio State, Texas in the Fiesta Bowl. And Sports Illustrated says that Ball State might be coming to the H Bowl, but they are going to stick with the Poinsettia Bowl and TCU for the Broncos. And it's not just Bronco fans that are waiting. The Nevada Wolfpack are most likely the team to head to Boise if the Broncos end up out of town. But in Washington, D.C., they too are watching all this very closely. Maryland is the likely candidate to head to the Humanitarian Bowl if the Ball State deal falls through. But truth be told, they'd probably rather stay home. You see, there is a new bowl in Washington, D.C., the New Eagle Bank Bowl. And it already has Navy in it. So if Maryland and Navy were to match up, well, this new bowl game would have a pretty good chunk of change in their first year. Vince told me last night, hang in there.
We did decide on is we want to pursue a Boise State Ball State game in the Rhodey Humanitarian Bowl this year.
That's Bowl Executive Director Kevin McDonald yesterday making clear the Bowl's decision and their recommendation that they would like to match Ball State and Boise State. The recommendation made to the Western Athletic Conference. The WAC Bowl Committee began deliberations today, and according to spokesman Dave Chaffin, the league only had preliminary discussions about all the WAC Bowl eligible teams. There will be another meeting on Thursday. Meanwhile, the Broncos remain in bowl limbo after wrapping up an undefeated regular season by beating Fresno on Friday night. Players and coaches are taking the high road, understanding that this situation is beyond their control. On Sunday night, Ian Johnson was my guest on Coaches Extra and talked about the team's approach.
We're all at ease now because we've taken care of our job. It doesn't matter how much we worry, how much we call in, bicker, complain, anything. We're not going to change anyone's decision. So our big thing is we got a week off right now. We're all going to enjoy it. And whenever December 7th comes around, guys will tune in and hear that, hey, we're going wherever. And that's about as far as most of us are taking it.
Broncos are still eligible for a BCS Bowl, so there will likely be no commitment to another bowl until the BCS selection show coming up this Sunday.